Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm Andy Murray for WhatCulture. And coming up today, Matt Hardy has challenged Chris Jericho to the Elite Deletion. I've got an update on Roman Reigns, and I'm also going to tell you why Big Show challenged Drew McIntyre on Raw.
Plus, a former UFC champion shoots on Brock Lesnar. AEW's Double or Nothing event is in danger, and Jake the Snake Roberts is in quarantine. This is the news.
Let's kick things off by talking about big, weird, crazy, mental, mad Matt Hardy. He was at it again on Dynamite this week. Segment wasn't quite as popping as releasing the Hounds last week, but how the hell could it be? Anyway, we headed to the Hardy compound for the very first time since Matt signed with AEW. He cut a promo from in this big, echoey warehouse thing, and he was talking about Chris Jericho. He was running through the inner circle, going down, running over them one by one. Good, entertaining stuff. Then Vanguard 1 shows up, but Vanguard 1 doesn't have the inner circle t-shirt from last week. No. He's got Matt Hardy's new design, and he has turned the inner circle shirt into a literal dumpster fire. Nice little GIF-worthy moment there. At the end of this all, there was all kinds of silly Matt Hardy stuff. He called Chris Jericho, what was it, Le Hole of Le Arse or something like that. Called him it twice, it was really good. But at the end of it all, the big story coming out of this is that he's challenged Jericho to come to the Hardy compound for one of his deletions, the Elite Deletion. We don't know when it's going down yet because they didn't confirm a date, and Jericho didn't answer the challenge on Dynamite. He was on commentary all night but didn't touch it. Either way, we're going to see Matt Hardy's unrestrained creativity turned loose in professional wrestling once more. It's going to be a hoot, and it also makes sense because at a time when these empty arena shows are running out of steam, I think it's safe to say it's kind of hard to get excited for them anymore. Companies really need content that doesn't depend on the crowd and can go down away from the arena, away from the crowd where they would normally be. I think it's a great shout at this particular time as well.
I agree. Mark me down as scared and, well, excited, let's just say. I think, like you say, it needs of escapism. It makes sense. And also, just to freshen things up a little bit, it'll be great. And also, considering how chef's kiss Chris Jericho was on commentary last night, why not have him commentate the whole match as well? I know he's going to be in it, but sod it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I think that they did some wonderful stuff on last night's Dynamite. I really enjoyed NXT as well. But, I thought Jericho on commentary was a true sensation. I don't think we need to worry about what he's going to do when he finally retires. More discussion on Chris Jericho a little bit later on when we get to our Twitter questions. But yeah. I can't wait for Matt Hardy versus Chris Jericho, the Elite Deletion.
Can't wait, man. Who could not be? I mean, if you're not into Matt Hardy stuff, obviously you're not going to enjoy it. But hey, man, we all need some silliness at this time, don't we?
Exactly. Right, let's talk about a former UFC champion who has been shooting on Brock Lesnar. As Andy Murray always says, shoot season still open despite all this lockdown stuff. And it's down to Reddit user SleeperHold296, who's dug up old comments from UFC Hall of Famer Dan Severn, in which the former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, as is say, let's just say, on Brock Lesnar. He says he's acting like he's the first wrestler to hold a belt in both wrestling and UFC, yet I carried my NWA title out to the cage and it sat next to my UFC title. Brock never did that. He also went on to criticise Brock for his PED usage and for WWE making a big deal about Brock Lesnar coming out of retirement for UFC 200, even though Dan Severn, get this, once worked 8 MMA fights whilst under a WWE contract that saw him on the road for 20 days out of every month. That's almost too many days.
Yes.
I wouldn't say anything bad to Dan Severn. I think he's fantastic. I know he is a particular favourite of Simon Miller's as well. It's one of the few times I've actually seen Simon Miller be starstruck. But, here's a fight that needs to get booked.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Beast versus Beast. Dan Severn is such an interesting guy. You watch him in interviews and he's so calm and so soft-spoken, but you know that guy, with his credentials, an early pioneer of the UFC, could kill you with his pinky. He's a bad Mother Hubbard. I think a lot of people will look at these comments and go, hey, well, I mean, Brock Lesnar is like an 8-time world champion in WWE, and Dan Severn wasn't really all that much in WWE, but that wasn't necessarily always Dan's fault. you know, things evolve, things move on. I just like stuff like this because it's so weird. Dan Severn, I think, is probably like 20 years Brock Sr. But it'd be kind of fun to see them throw down, man. I'm not going to lie. Maybe not so good for Dan's safety at this stage in his career and stuff. But, you know, this is fun.
Yeah, but I also think, yeah, he's kind of got a point, you know. WWE. But then again, this is WWE, I suppose. They love to pretend like, this is the first time this has ever happened.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, well, no, because what about this and this other thing? And they're like, no, first time ever. And credit to Dan Severn, as we saw on Dark Side of the Ring just the other day. He's the only one with the sense to go, yeah, this Brawl for All thing, despite the fact I won my first round match, I'm good. I can tell this is going to be a bag of balls, so I'm out.
Yeah, he was the only one with the wherewithal to do that. Really good episode of Dark Side of the Ring. The Godfather comes off as just the most endearing man alive. Check it out if you haven't already. Speaking of endearing men, Roman Reigns, he's off TV at the moment. He's going to be off for a while. He had to pull out of WrestleMania 36. Braun Strowman came in. Braun Strowman won the Universal Championship. Roman Reigns pulled out because, of course, he is immunocompromised after his 2 battles with leukemia, making him a high-risk person as everything that's going on around the world is still going on. Now, there was a report just over a week ago saying that he was going to be out for a long time. It was going to stretch beyond WrestleMania. He needs to be so careful in all of this. And we've got a new comment here from Dave, Big Daddy Dave Meltzer. Someone tweeted him last night asking, is Roman Reigns going to be out of WWE for the rest of the year? Dave responded saying, no idea. I've asked people, presumably in the company, and even people high up in WWE have no idea. They don't know. So it's an indefinite absence for the big dog. It is not a huge surprise, but it's just, you know, another thing to strengthen how important it is for this guy to stay away. We don't know how the global situation is going to pan out. It's impossible to predict. It changes almost every hour. It's crazy. It's wild. Man's got to do what's best for his health. He's a family man. He's got a life away from the ring. He's probably got his eyes on careers, you know, what he's going to do after wrestling. Needs to look after himself. Good for him. Taking it seriously.
100%. Just take as long as you need, Roman. Like you said, it's best for everyone involved that he comes back only when it is absolutely necessary and only when, you know, things improve. We don't know when that's going to be. Andy Murray and I, surprisingly, are not doctors. But it's so difficult this for Roman because, you know, it's going to almost babyface him all over again, and yet there's still going to be the snide people, the same people who criticised him from backing out of WrestleMania, despite the fact medically, as you said there, Andy, it's a necessity. So I think we all just need to say, regardless of whether it's Roman Reigns or anyone else who's immunocompromised, get well soon, take as long as you need, and everyone else, just stay home. Because the quicker we deal with this, the quicker we can get back to normal. Yeah,
exactly. Don't go outside, man. Just behave yourselves and stop being silly online as well. I see you.
Especially our British fans. It's Britain. We don't want to go outside. It's crap.
Oh, mate,
it was 16
degrees
bit of sunshine yesterday. Especially someone like me and Andy. Andy's Scottish. I'm ginger. It's either cold outside or we're getting sunburned. So I'm staying home for the foreseeable future. Right, let's talk about AEW and Double or Nothing. Still astonished that companies like WWE and AEW are still sort of advertising or promoting the fact that they're going to be putting on these pay-per-view events. But I'll tell you one thing, Double or Nothing will not be going down in the venue first intended. This is because on the 23rd of May, that's when the show is going to be taking place, it is going to be still shut down. The MGM Grand Garden Arena has suspended all operations at their properties around the city for the foreseeable future. It's been announced by MGM Resorts International CEO and Chairman, your friend and mine, Jim Murren, who says it is now apparent that this is a public health crisis, only just now apparently, that requires major collective action if we are to slow its progression. We will plan to reopen our resorts as soon as it is safe to do so, and we'll continue to support our employees, guests, and communities in every way that we can during this period of closure. The right thing to do this, Andy.
Absolutely, 100% the right thing to do. Surprised it hadn't happened already. Looking forward to seeing what AEW come up with. I'm not too enthused by I can't pronounce words properly, by the prospect of Double or Nothing in an empty building. I think they've got to be creative with it, do something interesting, do something they maybe haven't done so far, but at the same time, that is incredibly difficult. They've got a tough decision to make with regards to this show.
I get the reason why WWE went ahead with WrestleMania, but the fact they're promoting Money in the Bank, the fact AEW is still talking about Double or Nothing, it does not need to happen. I adore having the escapism of Raw, NXT, Dynamite, SmackDown on my TV, but alright, if you make the argument, alright, we have to keep producing that because of TV deals or whatever, fine. You don't have to put on pay-per-views. If it's down to me, Double or Nothing, nothing. There we go.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, man. Safety first. Shall we speed round these last two stories?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's blitz through this one. Big Show, Raw, Drew McIntyre, WWE title match. Weird, right? But kind of fun. It was pretty good. I kind of like seeing Big Show now. Anyway, we've got a PW Insider report here saying that the reason that Big Show wrestled Drew on Raw, and the reason they presented it as like a WrestleMania dark main event rather than a regular Raw match, because they wanted to make Drew look really strong, make him look as strong as possible by overcoming two of the most physically impressive and imposing men in WWE history within 20 minutes of each other. That's what they put it over as on air. That's what it was. Simple, kind of effective. Big Show's cool. Yes, thumbs up.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Because I think a lot of people sort of presume this. There was a tweet that went out from WWE around it that suggested the same. Drew McIntyre is 2020's Chris Jericho in terms of I beat Brock Lesnar and Big Show on the same night, inside half an hour, I think, vaguely of each other.
Yeah.
Right, let's talk a little bit about Jake the Snake Roberts. An excellent promo to open AEW Dynamite last night, but bad news. He has self-quarantined himself as a result of the ongoing global health crisis. He told the Wrestling Inc.'s daily podcast this. He's currently holed up in a Atlanta, Georgia hotel room after a recent set of AEW TV tapings. He said, I was living with Dallas and he was one of the first people to say, if you leave, you can't come back. AEW wanted me to come out, so I went and did it, but I couldn't go back to Dallas's house. He had a baby there and nobody needs to be sick around a baby. He self-quarantined himself. It's the right thing to do. I'm not sure whether or not he needed to go to the AEW shows, if I'm perfectly honest, but stay safe, get well soon, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been a joy on AEW so far, so fingers crossed.
Really good stuff. Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCultureWW. Of course, if you want to get in touch with it. Christopher Blade starts us off saying, with AOP and he's not your buddy Murphy not being on screen for the foreseeable future due to certain circumstances, how is this going to affect Seth's cult leader character and who are some possible new disciples?
Yeah, it's weird this. Like, I don't understand why they can't keep using Aka. It's Razar that's injured, right? I'm an idiot. I've got them mixed up, got their names mixed up. I don't understand why they can't just keep using Akam. Like, he's muscle, he could be a heater or whatever. But yeah, like, I really like Seth having like a little cult following him around. So I'm all in favor of him recruiting new people. Not too many, because when Buddy and these guys come back, you don't want him having a posse of 700 dudes, right? That's kind of the Dark Order's thing. Yeah, pick someone up, someone who's downtrodden, someone who's down on their luck, someone who's not doing anything. I don't know, like a Heath Slater or someone. He's always really entertaining in every single role he has. I know he's a SmackDown wrestler, but hey man, if Apollo Crews can cross over, why not the one-man band? And besides, he's due a world title. Like, Drew's had one, Jinder's had one, 3MB. The Trinity needs to be complete. He can beat Drew, maybe.
I wouldn't maybe not go that far, but no. Yes, I agree. I think there's something there, and I think Seth Rollins might have a job trying to recruit new people right now since he got his ass handed to him by Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. But I agree. Take your pick. Basically, borrow Daniel Bryan's list of great wrestlers who are being underutilized and just pick one of them. You know, that he hasn't already maybe had a match with on SmackDown or whatever, because there's so many talented guys that you could utilize. Take your pick, really. Tim Housen, more of a statement this from Tim, but well worth discussing, Andy Murray. He says, good morning, gents. Good morning, Tim.
Morning.
It's time people start having serious conversations about Chris Jericho on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. His commentary was mint last night. He put everyone over, no matter how he said it.
Yeah, Chris Jericho, so his GOAT status case, whatever, greatest of all time, has only been strengthened over the past years. Now he has a drawing record. Okay, it's not a drawing record that compares to Bruno Sammartino, but it's one that you can point at and go, look, this is conclusive proof that he attracted this amount of people to the building. He's got the drawing record, he's got the in-ring record, the character is tremendous, the adaptability, the legacy, longevity, adaptability. He's got everything you want in an all-time professional wrestler. Now, Mount Rushmore, tough, really tough. The 4 best, right? Top 4 of all time. I'm not sure I put Chris Jericho in the top 4, but you know, if Mount Rushmore was expanded to like, I don't know, 10, I mean, he's in the conversation, definitely.
At the bare minimum, he's something to buy at the gift shop of Mount Rushmore, isn't he?
There you go, perfect.
But I think he's rapidly making the case, you know. Back in the day, if you'd have said Mount Rushmore, I'd have gone. But then also, I think that's because he was a heel and I was, you know, predisposed to dislike him. But, you know, being older now and be able to look back on his body of work and appreciate it from a more sort of analytical perspective, his reinventions, as we've mentioned many, many times, are sensational. And I think there's rapidly becoming a case to be made, especially considering how much wrestling has changed over the last 20 years, that he could be right up there. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Final question today, great question, is from Lewis Budden, says, given that Bret Hart said that he could show people in one match, he would go with him and versus Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13. I've completely buggered that up, but I'm going to move on to his question anyway. What one match would you pick to introduce a non-fan into wrestling, Andy Murray?
I thought about this one a little bit, because you can't just give someone Flair versus Steamboat or Okada versus Omega like a 16-minute whatever, because that's going to make them, it's not going to grab them immediately, and it's something you need to really grow with the sport to appreciate. So go with something really simple but classic. So when I think simple but classic, and this is my favorite WrestleMania match maybe ever, Hulk Hogan versus The Rock from WrestleMania 18, I think is a tremendous starting point. It is so straightforward. It's got maybe 4 wrestling moves in the whole thing, but it's got the stare downs. The crowd is incredible, and that will feed a new viewer straight away. They'll get it, they'll click. 2 of the all-time great entertainers, 2 of the all-time great wrestlers. The Hulk up spot in this match is one of the best things of all time. No matter how old and cynical and jaded you might get towards pro wrestling, and believe me, I'm all of those things, that will get you every time. I think it's a perfect intro.
Close, but no cigar, Andy Murray. You're right, The Rock at WrestleMania is where you need to go to introduce a non-wrestling fan. But you don't need Hulk Hogan. You don't need Stone Cold Steve Austin. You need a real opponent, and that is The Rock versus Eric Rowan. The Rock versus Eric Rowan at WrestleMania, because, Andy, always leave them wanting more. 6 seconds, that's all you need. You go, hey, you know The Rock, you know, Dwayne Johnson, the actor guy, the Hollywood guy. Yeah, look where he is. Look at that creepy, hairy bastard, Eric Rowan. 6 seconds, job done. And then they go, whoa, I want to see more. There you go, you've got him into wrestling. Sorted.
Truly The Rock's greatest WrestleMania match.
Right, let's move on to today's. And finally, and shout out to Twitter user at WhatCulture WWE, who shared this image last night. It's well worth checking out. Basically, it's a huge picture, then, now, forever, of just a bloody boatload of WWE stars. And you have to zoom in and tell me who is the first person you saw. For me, it was CM Punk. Who was it for you, Andy Murray?
A much bigger name, much better wrestler, Mount Rushmore candidate, Lars Sullivan. I wish I was joking, but it was big bad Lars, man. 5-star Lars.
Indeed. Let us know your thoughts on that and all of today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. Oh, we've got a good one today. Myself and the Dudley Boys discussing the Wednesday Night War. I really liked Ciampa versus Gargano. The Dudley Boys did not. This gonna be good. You can follow myself and Andy Murray on Twitter. Andy, where can people find you?
You can find me at Andy H. Murray. The H today stands for Heath or Champion.
You can follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all, as I said, at WhatCulture WWE. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.